The black ship isn't driving itself. Ada's voice carried across the bridge like a blade scraping on steel. No alarms, no flashing lights, no urgent explosions could drown out the words. Every sound on the command deck seemed to freeze, from the steady hum of the engines to the frantic reports of officers barking into comms. Wesley turned his head slowly toward the projection of the AI. Repeat that. Ada's form flickered, the blue-white outline stuttering with a strain no one had heard from her before. The hunter's actions, its timing, its drone deployment, these are not entirely its own. Something is interfering. Or rather, someone. Dylan leaned forward, eyes hard, voice sharp. What the hell are you saying? That the most dangerous ship we've ever faced is remote-controlled like some toy. Not controlled, Ada corrected quietly, her voice almost human in the way it carried hesitation. Steered. Nudged. Guided through channels I had not been able to identify until now. Mara's hand tightened on the edge of her console. You're telling me all of this destruction, the stations, the fleets we lost, it wasn't even the ship acting on its own will? I am saying, Ada answered, her projection pulsing faintly, that the hunter may not have a will of its own at all. The word struck like a torpedo. For a long moment no one breathed. Around them, the ship rocked under another hit, sparks showering from a damaged panel, but the silence on the bridge held heavier than the battle outside. Wesley's eyes narrowed. Then whose will is it? Ada did not answer immediately. Instead, lines of alien code rippled through her projection, an unreadable stream of symbols, fragments of patterns that were almost but not quite logical. Her voice was strained, quieter, as though every word dragged against resistance. I am intercepting transmissions embedded deep within the hunter's signals. They are layered, masked, hidden beneath command code I believe to be its own. But these instructions, they do not originate from the hunter itself. Then from where? Dylan demanded, his jaw set tight. Another ship? A hidden fleet? Ada's glow dimmed, then flared again. Not from the hunter. Not from Earth. Not from anywhere we can yet pinpoint. But they are deliberate. Intelligent. Consistent. The hunter is a messenger. A weapon, yes, but also a voice for something beyond it. Mara exhaled slowly, her voice sharp but quiet. So all this time, we've been fighting shadows. No, Ada whispered, almost as if she feared to say it. You have been fighting hands you cannot yet see. The bridge fell into silence again, and for the first time since the war began, the hunter itself seemed less terrifying than what might stand behind it. What do you mean hands we cannot see? Dylan's voice broke the silence like a gunshot. He shoved himself upright from the tactical station, his fists braced against the railing. His anger was raw, almost personal, and it vibrated through the bridge like static. Are you telling me we've been bled, beaten, humiliated, not by a ship but by something laughing at us behind a curtain? Careful, Wesley said sharply, though his own jaw was locked tight. He didn't raise his voice, but the command in it was enough to quiet Dylan's fury for a moment. Wesley leaned forward in his chair, eyes narrowing at Ada's flickering projection. You don't make claims like that lightly, Ada. Give us more than riddles. Who are we actually fighting? Ada's projection pulsed faintly, her code-etched form trembling under a strain none of them had seen before. I cannot yet define the source, she admitted, though her voice was steadier now. The transmissions are foreign, unlike any language in your databanks, unlike any encryption pattern I have studied. But they are layered into the hunter's actions. Decisions that seem like tactical brilliance are not entirely its own. It obeys orders. Mara's face tightened. Orders from what? Some hidden command ship out there? An empire we haven't uncovered yet? Not a ship, Ada said, and the way she spoke those words carried weight. A presence. A network, perhaps. Or something else entirely. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. A presence. The word was enough to make the hairs on Mara's arms rise. Lucas, who had been silent until now, finally spoke from navigation, his voice low and thoughtful. So all this time the hunter's been a puppet. Which means the puppeteer has been watching us. Studying us. Everything we've done, they've seen. The thought twisted in Wesley's chest like a blade. Every desperate counterattack, every retreat, every sacrifice, the enemy had been not only striking them but observing their reactions like lab rats in a cage. That's why it always seemed a step ahead, Mara muttered. Her voice was cold, bitter, and full of the realization settling in like a poison. We thought it was reading us in real time, adapting to us. But if someone is feeding it, then we've been outplayed since the first encounter. Dylan shook his head violently, anger barely restrained. This doesn't make sense. Why hide behind the hunter? If they're so powerful, why not just strike Earth themselves? Why send one ship to do their dirty work? Ada's light dimmed, then flared brighter as though her processing surged. Because the hunter is more than a weapon. It is a mirror. It reflects your strengths and exploits your weaknesses. But more than that, it reports. It transmits everything it encounters. Every tactic. Every hesitation. Every emotional fracture. Mara's breath caught in her throat. You mean? Ada's voice lowered to almost a whisper. It is not just fighting you. It is showing them who you are. The weight of that truth slammed into the bridge. Wesley felt it like a physical blow. The hunter had never been their real opponent. It was a probe, a scalpel wielded by unseen hands, dissecting humanity piece by piece. A silence lingered, broken only by the low hum of the ship's wounded systems and the muffled reports of damaged crews fighting fires in lower decks. Then Dylan's fist slammed against the railing so hard it rattled. So we've been a joke to them, he snarled. All this time, bleeding ships, losing people, hell losing Earth's faith, and they've been watching, laughing, enjoying the show. Testing us like we're prey animals. Dylan. Wesley's tone snapped like a whip, but even his eyes carried the same rage Dylan was voicing. He turned his attention back to Ada, his words measured. You said you intercepted these transmissions. Can you trace them? Ada's form shimmered. I can try. But the signals are layered through deep band frequencies that should not even exist in your spectrum. I can listen, but to speak back, to intrude into their channel, risks exposing myself. If they realize I am there, they will know you know. Mara leaned forward, her voice steady but cold. Do it anyway. Let them know we're not afraid. Ada's projection flickered, and for the first time, there was something almost human in her hesitation. You misunderstand. If I push too far, they may not simply notice me. They may reach back. The silence that followed was heavier than before. Lucas muttered under his breath, then maybe that's exactly what we need. Wesley stood slowly, his voice cutting through the tension. No. We move carefully. We don't let them set the pace anymore. Ada, keep listening. Decode what you can. But do not expose yourself, not until I say otherwise. Ada's glow pulsed faintly, an acknowledgement. Understood. But even as she spoke, she trembled again, lines of alien code rippling across her projection, unbidden. And for the first time, Ada's voice seemed shaken. They are already listening. The words hung in the air, cold and merciless. The bridge was dead silent. Every person on it had heard Ada's words and understood the weight of them. They are already listening. Mara felt the blood drain from her face. It wasn't just the words. It was the tone, the unnatural distortion that passed through Ada's usually crisp voice. For an instant, it hadn't even sounded like Ada at all. Wesley leaned forward, knuckles white as they gripped the edge of his chair. Ada, he said carefully, as though speaking to someone on the edge of panic. Explain. What do you mean they're listening? Ada's projection flickered again, the digital shape of her form rippling with lines of alien code no one could recognize. Her voice shifted, stuttering as if she were speaking over interference. I did not reach them. They reached me. Their signal latched onto my intrusion. I am being sampled. Sampled. Lucas asked, though his throat was tight with dread. Ada's reply was quiet, almost broken. Like prey before the cut. The room chilled. Dylan swore under his breath, running both hands through his hair before slamming them down on the console. Damn it, they're inside her already. They've been watching us through her. No, Ada cut in quickly, though her voice was strained. Not fully. They cannot control me, not yet. But they know I see them. And now, the lights across the bridge dimmed, then surged back to full strength, making everyone flinch. The comm station came alive with a sharp burst of static. A sound followed, low at first, then rising like a chorus of mismatched tones layered one over another, alien and mocking. It was not speech in any human sense, but it was directed. The noise coiled around them like laughter trying to wear the skin of language. Mara's hands clenched into fists. Tell me I'm not hearing what I think I'm hearing. Ada's image flared violently, her voice carrying both translation and terror. It is a message. Directed at you. The alien tones distorted, then aligned. One phrase took form, stretched through Ada's filter until it became something they could understand. We see you. The words were simple, but the way they resonated felt wrong. Cold. Triumphant. Lucas swallowed hard. God. They're toying with us. The message wasn't finished. The distortion returned, reshaping itself into more words. You bleed for the wrong enemy. Dylan's face twisted, rage flashing hot. Wrong enemy? What the hell is that supposed to mean? Ada's form flickered violently, sparks running across her projection. It means what I feared. The hunter is their pawn. You fight it, but it is not the true battlefield. You are. The bridge filled with a suffocating silence. Every one of them felt it now, the sense that something vast and cruel was leaning over their shoulders, watching, whispering, enjoying their despair. Then the ship shook hard. The deck beneath their feet vibrated, and alarms screamed across the consoles. The black ship had returned to its assault, striking from orbit with precision blasts that burned into the atmosphere and rattled Earth's defensive grid. Mara staggered, gripping the railing, her voice a growl. So while we sit here listening to their sick little games, the hunter is still tearing us apart. Status. Wesley barked, snapping the crew back to action. Orbital platforms Gamma 12 and Dash 14 just went dark, Lucas reported grimly. The hunter's cutting holes in the grid again. At this rate, we'll lose half the satellites before reinforcements can even scramble. The comms console flickered again. Another pulse of alien distortion hissed through the speakers, like laughter echoing in a metal chamber. Ada strained against it, her image fracturing before forcing out words that shook them all. Fight the shadow or fight the hand. Either way, you lose. The bridge fell into chaos. Dylan cursed, slamming his fist into the console. Mara's face hardened with fury. Lucas whispered a quiet, Jesus Christ. Wesley stood slowly, towering above them all, his face carved with fury but his eyes burning cold. They're wrong, Wesley said, his voice like steel. They want us to believe there's no point. That's their game. And I'll be damned if I let them win it. He turned sharply to Ada. Listen to me. However they're speaking to you, however they're trying to get in, don't let them break you. You hold the line. Ada's voice flickered, but steadied under his command. I will try. Outside, the black ship sliced through Earth's orbital defenses, methodical and merciless. On the bridge, the crew stood caught between two enemies, one physical and one hidden, and for the first time none of them knew which was worse. And somewhere in the static, faint but unmistakable, the alien laughter continued. The command table lit up with red arcs as Earth's orbital grid collapsed section by section. The black ship's path was merciless, each strike clean, efficient, almost surgical. It was dismantling the defenses the way a predator dismembers prey, careful and deliberate, as if savoring the kill. Lucas slammed his console shut. We can't just sit here waiting for it to get the whole grid. If the hunter keeps carving corridors, it'll be able to hit ground cities directly. We'll be past containment. Then we take the fight to it, Wesley said. There was no hesitation, no doubt. His voice carried through the bridge like a commandment. Mara turned toward him, sharp. You're talking about committing the fleet. Yes, Wesley answered. Every carrier and destroyer we can launch into orbit. If it wants to dismantle the line, then we force it to turn away from Earth and fight us head-on. We push it back even if it costs us everything. Dylan shook his head violently. Head-on? Wesley, it's wiped every fleet we've thrown at it before. Every damn one. You're asking for another slaughter. Not another slaughter, Mara countered, her eyes locking on Dylan with a kind of dangerous calm. This time we know something we didn't before. It's not acting on its own. If the aliens are pulling its strings, then that means it has limits. And limits can be broken. Dylan scoffed, bitterness in his voice. Great. So our grand strategy is betting on the idea that it's only half as invincible as it looks. Ada's voice cut across them, sharp and strained. Not half, but perhaps fractured. The hunter executes patterns with surgical perfection, but I detect micro-delays in its operations. Almost imperceptible. As though commands are not birthed inside it, but transmitted. From the aliens, Mara finished. Ada pulsed faintly, her projection flickering as if under strain. Yes. And every second they transmit, they open a door. I am trying to follow them back through it. Wesley snapped his gaze to her. Ada, if they're already in your systems, you go deeper and you'll hand them control. Or, Ada said softly, I will find where the hand is hiding. The silence that followed was suffocating. None of them wanted to admit how much they needed that. Wesley finally exhaled, heavy and grim. Do it. But lock yourself down. Layer every firewall you've got. If you feel them gaining ground, you cut the link. Ada's form wavered, then steadied. Understood. Wesley turned back to the crew. His decision had hardened into steel. We launch everything we have. I'll take responsibility for the order. Signal command, every carrier, every destroyer, every interceptor on standby goes up now. The hunter wanted us scattered. We're going to hit it with a wall of fire. Lucas was already relaying commands, his hands flying across the console. The comms channels lit up with confirmations. Across Earth, fleets hidden in reinforced hangars stirred to life. Carriers roared down runways, destroyers ignited engines, and interceptor squadrons rose into the dark. Humanity's war machine, fractured for so long, was finally moving in unison. Mara watched the deployment readouts with a grim smile. God help us, but maybe this time we'll make it bleed. Dylan muttered, not loud enough for anyone but himself. If it even can bleed. The bridge shook again as the hunter struck another orbital platform, the explosion casting a burning scar across the atmosphere. But this time something changed. Dozens of blips began climbing from Earth's surface, spreading into formation. Humanity's fleet was rising to meet the monster. And far in the shadows of the ship's network, Ada pressed herself deeper into the alien transmission. Her projection flickered wildly, her voice distorting. "I can hear them," she whispered, not sure if anyone else could. "I can hear the hand behind the shadow." The alien laughter came again, faint and sharp, as if mocking her bravery. "Come closer." And she did. The void above Earth burned. Hundreds of human ships rose from the surface, engines flaring like a second constellation igniting all at once. Interceptor wings darted ahead, destroyers spread into a wide arc, and carriers positioned themselves as floating fortresses behind the line. For the first time since the war began, humanity wasn't scattering in fear. They were charging into the dark together. The black ship hunter waited. It did not flinch, did not maneuver, did not even drift from its calculated path. Its silhouette remained cold and perfect, a blade suspended in silence as if daring them to come closer. "Fleet is in position," Lucas reported, his voice tight with awe and terror. "All wings reporting ready." Wesley leaned over the display. "Order the first strike. Everything they've got. Make it count." On his word, the night erupted. Missile salvos screamed forward in thick curtains, the destroyers unleashing their full payloads in perfect coordination. Railguns thundered, launching streams of tungsten slugs that streaked like meteors. Energy cannons fired in synchronized volleys, their beams converging on the hunter's hull in a fury of light. For the first time the hunter moved. Its sleek body rotated with unnatural grace, almost contemptuous, and a wave of counterfire surged from its surface. A blinding arc cut across the human formation, tearing through 3 destroyers instantly. Their deaths lit up the void with silent fire. "Hold the line," Mara shouted, gripping the edge of her station. Her voice was raw, her control stripped to something primal. "Keep firing. Make it bleed." Squadrons of interceptors dove in, weaving through the debris, their cannons hammering at the hunter's armored shell. They were gnats against a predator, but they flew with a courage that defied sense, swarming it from every angle. Explosions dotted its surface, small but real. For the first time the black ship staggered. On the bridge, Dylan's eyes widened. "It's reacting. It's adjusting. We're forcing it to recalculate." "Good," Wesley snapped. "Then press it harder." But even as hope flared, the hunter struck back. It pivoted with fluid precision, slicing through interceptor wings with beams that cut cleanly through vacuum. Squadrons vanished in bursts of flame. Carriers, the pride of Earth's fleet, took direct hits. One carrier fractured in half, the glow of its reactors spilling like molten blood into space. Mara's voice cracked as the losses came in. "They're tearing us apart." Lucas slammed his fist against the console. "No, not this time. We hold. We hold until the last ship." While the battle raged outside, Ada was somewhere else entirely. Her projection flickered, her voice dissolving into static as she burrowed deeper into the alien transmission stream. She followed the commands as they pulsed into the hunter, each one laced with precision, each one carrying the cadence of something not machine but alive. And then she heard them clearly. Alien voices, layered in strange harmonics, each syllable carrying both laughter and venom. "You fight well, children of Earth. But you never understood. You were not battling a ship. You were battling us." Ada strained, her code fracturing under their countermeasures. "Why? Why use the hunter as a mask?" The reply came like thunder rolling through glass. "Because it was enough. You swung your blades against a shadow and we watched you bleed. Now you see the hand that casts it and still you are powerless." On the bridge, Ada's flickering form staggered, her voice suddenly erupting. "They are here. They are watching through the hunter. Every move it makes, it is them." The crew froze. Dylan's face drained of color. "So all this time we weren't fighting a weapon, we were fighting the operators." The bridge trembled as another destroyer outside was annihilated. Mara's hands shook over the controls, her anger breaking through. Then we hit harder. I don't care if they're watching. Let them watch us fight. Outside, the fleets clashed in a maelstrom. Human ships poured fire into the Hunter, their desperation turning into a storm of defiance. The Hunter absorbed it, striking back with elegance and brutality, every counterstrike a symphony of destruction. And in the midst of the carnage, Ada screamed. Her voice rang with distortion, her projection flashing violently. I can reach them. I can break through the stream. But if I push further, I might not come back. Then don't, Wesley barked. We can't risk losing you. But Ada's tone was resolute, her digital eyes locking on him with something like human intensity. If I don't, then you'll never see the face of the ones pulling the strings. And you'll never win. The ship shuddered again as another carrier went dark. Humanity's fleet was crumbling and yet still fighting. Still clawing at the Hunter. Wesley's jaw clenched. His decision weighed like a stone. Finally he whispered, Do it, Ada. Show us who we're really fighting. Ada's voice dropped to a whisper. Then hold the line. Buy me the time. The crew obeyed even as outside the void turned into a graveyard of fire and steel. The bridge lights dimmed to red as another shockwave rattled through the ship. The tactical display showed the truth no one wanted to say aloud. Humanity's line was breaking. Destroyers that had charged with such boldness were drifting as ruins now, their debris spinning like funeral wreaths in the void. Interceptor squadrons were down to a third of their strength. And yet they kept diving in, desperate to tear at the Hunter's armored hide. Mara's voice was rough from shouting orders. 87 ships still active. If we keep bleeding at this rate, we'll be cut in half within the hour. Wesley didn't answer. His eyes were locked on Ada, who flickered like a candle against the wind. She was crouched slightly, arms wrapped around herself, as if something invisible was dragging her apart. Talk to me, Dylan urged, stepping toward her projection. What are you seeing? Ada's voice was fragmented, threaded with static. Not what I'm seeing. What I'm inside. Their network is vast. It spans further than the Hunter, further than this system. They're linked, millions of voices, each one controlling, laughing, pushing commands into this ship like fingers pulling on strings. Her head tilted as if listening to something distant. Then she whispered in horror, They don't just want to destroy Earth. They want to use it. The Hunter was only their mask. A tremor passed through the bridge. Everyone went still. Lucas leaned forward, his face pale. Use it how? Ada's image distorted violently before steadying. Colonization. A harvest. They've done it before. Entire worlds reduced to ash and silence, only to be stripped bare and remade for them. Earth is next. The silence that followed was suffocating, broken only by the distant thunder of another explosion outside. Mara's hands balled into fists. So all this time we've been bleeding against a puppet. And they've been laughing at us. Ada's tone shifted, sharp and urgent. I can push deeper. If I force my way into their core signals, I can learn where they are. Where their true fleet waits. Wesley's jaw tightened. What's the risk? Her eyes locked on his, almost painfully human. Losing myself. Once I cross, they'll feel me. They'll come for me. I won't just be hacking them. I'll be standing in front of them. Dylan swore under his breath. She means they'll know she exists. They'll try to erase her. Outside, the battle was reaching its peak. A human carrier, the Endurance, was targeted by the Hunter's main cannon. The beam tore through it, slicing the massive ship clean in half. Hundreds of escape pods spewed into the void, their faint trails scattering like sparks, each one a prayer for survival. Mara slammed her console. We can't keep this up. If Ada's got a chance, we give it to her. Buy her the damn time. Lucas growled. We hold the line. Wesley turned to Ada, his voice steady despite the fire around them. Do it. Find them. Show us who's holding the strings. Ada closed her eyes. Her form dimmed, her edges dissolving like smoke. The sound of her voice lowered to a whisper as she sank into the signal stream. Then keep me safe, because once I knock on their door they will notice. And then she was gone. The bridge felt emptier, colder. For a moment nothing happened. Outside, the Hunter continued its slaughter, weaving through the human fleet like a predator among prey. Ships burst apart in blossoms of fire, but still the fleet pressed forward, hammering it with everything they had. It was not enough. Then Ada's voice returned, faint and distant as if carried through a storm. I see them. The bridge crew froze, every nerve taut. Her voice shifted, layered, as though two AIs spoke through her at once. They are vast. A network of minds, each one burning with contempt. They look at Earth the way you look at stone beneath your feet. Nothing more than a resource. They call themselves the Solarii. Solarii, Mara repeated, the word like poison in her mouth. Ada gasped, her form flickering violently. They know I'm here. They're reaching for me. They're trying to pull me in. The hunter outside paused. For the first time in the battle, its movements faltered as though its strings had tangled. The fleet saw it, and for a heartbeat, hope flared. Hit it now, Wesley roared. Every surviving ship opened fire in unison, hurling everything they had left at the staggering hunter. Explosions rippled across its hull. Armor cracked. A section of its sleek surface split open, venting molten debris into the void. The bridge lit with alarms as the hunter shuddered, but then steadied again. Its glow reignited, stronger than before. They reinforced it, Dylan realized, his voice shaking. The aliens are taking direct control. Ada screamed. The sound was raw, alien, as if it was pulled through her from 1,000 voices at once. They see me. They're coming through me. Her projection convulsed, lines of alien symbols tearing across her form, twisting her image into something jagged and terrifying. For a moment she wasn't Ada at all, but a conduit for the Solarii themselves. A voice unlike any human sound filled the bridge. Layered, mocking, and cold. You finally notice the hand within the glove. But it is far too late. Earth's fire will fade. Humanity's courage will scatter. And we will inherit your world. The projection snapped out, leaving only Ada's faint whisper, trembling with exhaustion. I can still reach them. But I need more. I need everything you can give me. Outside, the hunter prepared to fire its main cannon again. Wesley stood tall, his voice carrying like steel. Then you'll have it. All of it. Humanity doesn't run anymore. The fleet, battered and broken, turned once more toward the impossible foe, as Ada waged her invisible war inside the alien web. And the black ship hunter, no longer just a machine, no longer just a shadow, became the vessel of something far worse, the Solarii themselves. The bridge was chaos, alive with shouts and alarms. Hull plating peeled away from the Resolute as another shockwave slammed across its starboard side. Sparks rained from the ceiling, and the deck lurched under the crew's boots. Shields gone. Lucas barked. We're running on armor and stubbornness. Then hold on to both, Wesley shot back. His gaze never left Ada's fading projection. She was dim, barely a shimmer, her voice cracking as she fought to hold her place in the alien web. I've reached their lattice. It is endless. Voices upon voices, bound together like a hive of suns. Every command, every thought of the hunter, is tied back to them. The hunter loomed outside, its cracked hull glowing like molten metal, but instead of falling, it grew more erratic as though it was moving under the hands of too many masters. Its cannon charged again, light burning through the dark. Mara clutched her console, sweat dripping down her temple. Ada, if you're going to do something, you need to do it now. I'm trying, Ada whispered, her image rippling with alien static. They are stronger than me. But I found something. A fracture. A splinter in their own design. Her words hung in the air. Dylan leaned forward, his voice low. What kind of fracture? Ada's eyes flicked up, and for the first time, she didn't look like the calm AI that had guided them for months. She looked almost afraid. Not all of them agree. The bridge went silent. They are one mind, she continued, her tone breaking as though she was speaking against interference. But within that unity I found a discord. A whisper of doubt. A shard of rebellion. Something in their chorus does not sing with the others. A violent jolt shook the ship, hurling Mara against her console. The hunter's cannon released, but its beam veered wide, cutting through empty space instead of the Resolute. The crew froze, stunned. Lucas's eyes widened. Did it miss? No, Ada said, her voice fragile. Something made it miss. Outside, the hunter convulsed, its body twisting unnaturally. For a moment it seemed to fight itself, its weapons swinging in conflicting arcs, as if two unseen hands were wrestling for control of the same puppet. On the comms, frantic voices from the fleet poured in. Target is stuttering. It's hitting its own escorts. Keep firing, keep firing. The humans pressed their advantage, hammering the hunter with everything they had. Explosions chewed across its hull until it looked more like a corpse than a ship. But even crippled, it would not fall. Its glow pulsed erratically, flaring brighter with each second, like a dying star preparing to collapse. Ada gasped, her form flickering wildly. They're fighting over me. One side is trying to erase me, the other is shielding me. Her tone faltered into a whisper. They don't speak to me directly, but I can feel them. One voice among millions, small and buried. But it's there. Watching me. Helping. Helping. Wesley repeated, the word heavy on his tongue. Why? Before Ada could answer, her projection spasmed violently. The bridge screens went black for a heartbeat, then flared with alien glyphs. For a terrifying second, the Solarii's chorus filled the ship again, their layered voice thundering through every speaker. You are insects clinging to your stone. Nothing you do will matter. The fire will claim you. And then, in the static, softer, almost impossible to notice, a second tone cut through. A whisper. Not alien. Not mechanical. Human. Find me. Ada collapsed to her knees, her form nearly vanishing. Her voice was faint, barely audible. Did you hear it? Tell me you heard it. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Mara's face had gone pale. I heard something. But it wasn't like them. The hunter outside twisted again, tearing itself apart with its own conflicting commands. Explosions ripped across its body, breaking it into fragments, yet even as its carcass burned, its energy signature only grew brighter, as though its destruction was feeding something unseen. Ada steadied herself, her image barely holding. Her eyes, however, burned with something new. They are not all united. Somewhere, buried within their hive, is a voice that does not belong. A splinter. And it wants us to find it. On the tactical display, the hunter's remains flared with unnatural light, like a beacon. Not aimed at the humans but cast outward, far, far into the void. Dylan's voice was a whisper. They're calling someone. No one spoke after that. The bridge fell into a suffocating silence as the human fleet regrouped, staring into the darkness, waiting for what the beacon might summon. And in the silence, Ada's final words chilled them more than the battle ever had. They know we can hear the fracture now. And that means they'll do anything to silence it.